West Virginia's source for news. Eyewitness News starts right now.
Marriage equality, the reaction and the opposition. The reason the state says they have no choice in the matter as gay couples statewide begin applying for marriage. And breaking it down, we're looking at the developments this week that led up to this historic event. Find out how the Kanawha County Commission is taking action now. And one airline service at Yeager Airport is grounding its flights. The reason for the sudden change in service and what to expect now. And good morning, everyone. I'm Dave Benton. Dan Maddox joins us now. You're going to be looking at some of the responses we've been getting on social media regarding gay marriage in West Virginia. Yeah. And also, Doug Harlow's been checking our forecast for this weekend to see how much rain we're going to get.
Well, yeah, hopefully no grounded flights this morning around here out of Yeager because of rain that's about to push in. We've held it off for much of tonight, but that's about to change. Folks down to the south and west can already tell us what's coming. Got some rain. We've got some thunder, in fact, down around parts of south central West Virginia. Here in Charleston, we're still waiting on it, but we're not going to have to wait much more than about 45 minutes or so before that rain pushes in. So it's going to turn wet for our morning commute if it hasn't already. You can see a big blob of rain tracking to the east-northeast across eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio, now making its way into central West Virginia. Just now starting to get into downtown Huntington, some downpours there. Might hear a clap of thunder, and it's about 45 minutes away from Charleston, but pushing its way up Corridor G pretty steadily. We're into the 50s right now, and unfortunately, we're not going to warm very much for today. It's going to be gray and it's going to be wet. We'll have one slug of rain coming through this morning for a few hours. There'll likely be a lull around midday, probably just a couple sprinkles at that time, but then more rain is going to move back in late afternoon and this evening. So generally just looking at a very wet 12 to 18-hour period with temperatures generally holding the 50s. Maybe during that low we might briefly get up to about 60 degrees. It does look better for tomorrow, and we'll talk about the weekend forecast in detail in just a bit.
Good morning, I'm Eric Kane with your traffic update. Off to a pretty quiet start for your Friday morning. Not seeing any accidents or road closures to pass along. Shouldn't have much trouble at all making your way into town this morning. Let's look at our local traffic. I'm Eric Kane for 58 WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
And it's now 6:32. It's happened. Same-sex couples are now allowed to marry in West Virginia, immediately gaining many benefits they were previously denied under the law. So how did this historic ruling unfold? Well, let's take a look. We break it down for you. When the Supreme Court doesn't hear a case, it essentially lets the last ruling stand. Well, in this case, a ruling from the Fourth Circuit of Appeals out of Virginia abolishing bans on gay marriage. Well, West Virginia falls under the jurisdiction of the Fourth Circuit Court. So by the Supreme Court upholding the Circuit Court's earlier decision, that means laws banning same-sex marriage in the Mountain States are unconstitutional. Well, same-sex couples immediately began to head to county courthouses and apply for marriage licenses yesterday. The West Virginia Attorney General announced he would not file a legal challenge. Then Governor Ray Tomlin lifted the ban on gay marriage. Morrissey says he has to follow the decision of the Fourth Circuit Court. Federal courts can override state law.
Because the Virginia law and the West Virginia law were very similar, when the Court of Appeals ruled and the Supreme Court effectively ratified that, it basically rendered our arguments moot. And so we had no pathway to proceed or appeal.
Now, the DHHR released a statement saying that all county clerks in the state of West Virginia need to have updated paperwork and be ready to issue same-sex marriage licenses by the 14th of October. And already changes in Kanawha County. Commissioners voted last night to extend insurance coverage to same-sex spouses of county employees. Commission President Kent Carper says it's the right thing to do. The county's insurance policy will be amended and should be effective immediately. Well, last night, as all of this was unfolding, we asked you to weigh in, and boy, did you ever. Eyewitness News anchor Dan Maddox is here with more on the overwhelming response we've seen this morning.
That's right. This is absolutely blowing up on our Facebook page. I don't think I've ever seen so much heated response over a topic like this. We asked a poll on your thoughts on this decision. Let's go ahead and take a look at this graphic here. So far, 42% are agreeing with the decision to allow same-sex marriage in the Mountain State. 55% are against it, 2% undecided. That poll is still up. Just go to our Facebook page and click on the Eyewitness Insider tab. And we also asked you for your comments on this. Let's go ahead and take a look at just a couple here. Neil Lagore says this country should be ashamed, simply ashamed. Brenda King says no comment, let the Lord be their judge, not I.
All right, thank you, Dan. It is now 6:35, and in national news, airports are working to deal with the Ebola scare. Officials will now put new measures in place starting tomorrow at one of the nation's busiest airports. This morning, Andrew Spencer reports.
Airports are taking the threat of Ebola very seriously, even though some people are not. Passengers on a U.S. Airways flight from Philadelphia to the Dominican Republic broke out their cell phones as 4 people in hazmat suits removed another passenger. They say his joke about having Ebola didn't go over so well. Concerns about Ebola prompted a response in Alabama as well after an international passenger vomited in the restroom of a plane. Officials confirmed he hadn't been in West Africa before letting the other passengers off that plane. Security measures such as infrared thermometers are already being used to check travelers leaving Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. This weekend, officials will start implementing similar security measures at the 5 U.S. airports which handle the vast majority of passengers from West Africa, beginning with New York's JFK on Saturday. Several airports in Canada are doing the same, but the process isn't perfect.
You don't catch everyone. You catch the people who are frankly ill, and the people who are infected but aren't ill can still get through the gate.
Thomas Duncan died from Ebola at a hospital in Dallas, Texas. The Liberian man didn't show symptoms until days after he arrived in the United States. Health officials also note fever is a symptom of many illnesses, including malaria, which is common in Africa but is not transmitted from person to person. The CDC says of 74 feverish people stopped from boarding planes in West Africa, not a single one is thought to have the Ebola virus. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
All right, thank you, Andrew. It is now 6:37. An airline set to begin nonstop service next week from Charleston to a popular vacation spot in Florida has suddenly grounded its flights, all because they have no planes. Well, People Express has canceled its flights out of Yeager to Orlando indefinitely. Yeager Airport Director Rick Atkinson says People Express was supposed to get 3 planes from Vision Air, but only got 2. One of those planes had engine trouble, and the other was damaged after someone backed a truck into it. Passengers will now be refunded their money, and they are still understandably upset because now, with their trip already booked, they have to suddenly find another way to get to Orlando on such short notice.
If I choose to fly, I'm having to look at other airline flights, and costs at this point in time being so close out to my date of departure are triple what I would have paid through the flight I had booked with People Express.
Now, Rick Atkinson with Yeager says People Express flights should start again sometime in November. Marshall University is celebrating Homecoming Week, and today there is a free picnic on the Student Plaza with lots of music, prizes, and games. It's the first official alumni event of Homecoming Weekend, and at 7 o'clock this evening, Marshall's annual pep rally on Buzzkirk Field gets underway. And the Myrtle Beach area is known as the birthplace of the shag. Yeah, it's a swing-style dance to beach music. Well, visitmyrtlebeach.com is giving away a trip for 2 to the area where you could take classes and shag the night away at places like Fat Harold's and North Myrtle Beach. Contest details are posted right now on our website, WCHS-TV.com, and right there you can register, but you have to do so before October 31st. From plants that eat bugs to rare and exotic creatures, we're showing you a place in West Virginia that is like no other. We're taking you to Cranberry Glades. That's next when Eyewitness News This Morning returns. Plus, Doug will have your forecast.
Texting while driving makes you 8 times more likely to crash.
It's just as dangerous as drunk driving. Join together with Eyewitness News to make West Virginia roads a no-text zone.
Take the pledge at WCHS-TV.com.
Pick up your sticker and put it in your car window.
Help save lives. Take the No Text Zone pledge.
Don't forget to log on to our websites, click the No Text Zone link, take the pledge, and sign up for our No Text Zone program.
Welcome back, 6:41 here on this Friday morning. Off to a pretty good start in Charleston. That'll last off about another half an hour. There is plenty of rain about to move its way on in, unfortunately coinciding with the time most folks are hitting the road. So do be careful out there. I'd allow a little extra time to get to your destination, especially if you're planning on driving out there after 7 o'clock. Already we're seeing heavy rain moving through the Huntington area, so roads are wet there. And also this time of year you start to get the leaves to come down, especially on those side streets. Leaves with wet conditions on top of them can be extra slick and just make for some tough driving. So just be careful and expect some low visibility as this rain moves in. Some pretty heavy rain across much of the tri-state right now, especially. We've been seeing this crossing through Quarter G, coming up from the south and west. Logan getting a break, but you had a thunderstorm earlier. Some claps of thunder mixed in with some of those downpours. This is now making its way through the Beckley area, heading toward Fayetteville. So only a matter of time before it reaches you. There's some very heavy rain around Huntington right now and extending down through Lincoln County. Back through Ashland and Ironton, you're getting a downpour as well. Fortunately, the heaviest of the rain is just kind of on the leading edge, and then it slackens off a little bit, but certainly making for some tough travel along Route 60 and I-64. And again, yeah, here still pretty dry around much of Kanawha County, but that's not going to last for much longer. We can time out the leading edge of this rain, and again, the leading edge is where the heaviest of the rain is. So this is moving east, so it's just a matter of about 30 minutes, 20 minutes or so. Fayetteville, it should arrive, Oak Hill as well shortly. Charleston by 7:30, we should be seeing the rain really ramping up around here in the Kanawha Valley area. And Pocatalico just before 8, Summersville by about 8:20. We'll start to see some of that heavier rain picking up there along Route 19. We're in the mid-50s to start off, pretty mild, but we're not going to see those temperatures budge much here for today, especially when it's raining. Now, there will be a little bit of a gap. Notice I've kind of circled this area in here back around parts of Indiana and Illinois. Not much rain. I think that little batch of drier weather will slide in here toward midday today. So we'll get this slug of rain. We'll get a little bit of a drying trend for a couple of hours around lunchtime. Still cloudy, though. But then there's more rain back around St. Louis with a low pressure system, and that's going to ride right along this front, which is stalled out over us right now. As that low moves back in, it's going to bring another round of rain our way for the evening. So it's not looking too promising for high school football games. It's going to be pretty soggy. So just kind of a lousy Friday, unfortunately. But hey, it's Friday, so you know, at least the week is over for a lot of folks. Showers are going to be pushing through. There's that little drying trend toward midday. We'll see that first round of rain move east, so things kind of slacken off to just a couple sprinkles. But then you can see the rain as we head into this evening, picking back up once again. Some rumbles of thunder possible down south especially. That's where the heaviest of the rain will tend to be, and then things will start to slacken off after that. Speaking of rainfall totals, probably going to average around a ½ inch to an inch of rainfall in many spots. Heaviest of the totals will tend to be across the southern county, so there could be a little local high water down there to watch out for before the day is out. At least temporary ponding on the roadways and things of that nature. And again, generally 50s. During that little lull early this afternoon, we might hit about 62 or so. But then we'll fall back into the 50s this evening. Now, when you wake up early tomorrow morning, might not look all that promising. I think there could still be a few light showers or some drizzle hanging around parts of the area, especially south. It'll be cloudy for sure. But watch what happens. That front's going to get kicked to the south as that low moves by late tonight. And I think it'll move far enough to the south that we'll get some drier weather to punch in by the afternoon. And especially from I-64 north, I think some sun will break out. So it's not a perfect day, especially the morning is going to be a little bit dreary. And if you're in southern and eastern West Virginia, it probably won't clear out completely. It'll be kind of cloudy. But it'll beat today, that's for sure. It's much better than today, especially for the afternoon hours for outdoor plans. We'll pick up a couple showers as that front lifts back to the north Sunday, although I think there's going to be more dry time Sunday than today. And then we'll jump to 80 degrees early next week. Unfortunately, though, with a strong cold front coming in Tuesday, could be some severe weather to watch out for that day. Could get a little bumpy. We'll keep you updated on Tuesday's weather. And then break out the jackets again Wednesday. 50s and a couple showers midweek, and it'll stay cool probably through Thursday and Friday.
Thank you, Doug. It is now 7:15, and you know there are some places in the Mountain State where you'll find things that you could not experience anywhere else. Eyewitness News photojournalist Brad Rice takes us on a nature hike to the beautiful Cranberry Glades Botanical Area in Pocahontas County in this week's Traveling West Virginia.
We're at the Cranberry Glades Botanical Area. The Cranberry Glades is a 750-acre wetland bog. The mountains around here surround the bog and create a bowl which helps keep the water in. The floor of the glades is covered with sphagnum moss. The sphagnum moss dies over time and creates peat moss, and the peat moss underneath us can be up to 10 feet deep. That's a lot of the reason why we have the boardwalk here to help protect this sensitive area. The mountains surrounding here, the Highland Scenic Highway on one side and Kennison Mountain on the other, creates this bowl area, and it does hold the cold air in here. We have a lot of unique plant life here that you find in tundra areas of Alaska and Canada.
Two of the most interesting plants that we have down here are the pitcher plant and the sundew, which are carnivorous plants. The pitcher plant is shaped like a little vessel that collects rainwater, and then it will produce an enzyme like what our stomach acid does for us to break down insects. The other one is the sundew with a sweet nectar that draw in the insects. One of the other interesting plants is the cranberries, which the cranberry glaze gets its name for. And the cotton grass, it's one of the unique fall plants that comes up. It doesn't really bloom, it just gets a lovely fluff on the top of it.
This is a very highly photographed area. It's beautiful all year round. It's the largest bog in the state of West Virginia. The fall brings in most visitors of the whole year. We have more people who come through this area in the fall to see the foliage, which we're told rivals that of New England.
A tour will normally take 30, 45 minutes, but if you're really in the plants, you're going to take your time, and it's really easy to spend a couple hours down here. There's a lot of people that I think they feel like they have to go to another state to find something really interesting, really cool, and they don't necessarily look in their backyard.
Wow, absolutely beautiful. And you know, you can always see this and all of Brad's traveling stories online, and you can also follow us on Twitter at TravelingWV WCHS. New details. A shocking find is now casting doubt on the story behind Malaysian Flight 17. How this new information calls into question a key piece of the ongoing investigation. It's now 6:48. Stick around. We're checking today's top stories from the Live News Update Center. Next on Eyewitness News this morning. And welcome back to Eyewitness News this morning. It's about 10 minutes till 7, and we're in the Live News Update Center right now with a look at what's making headlines as you're waking up. Chilling new details this morning about the attack on Malaysian airline Flight 17 over eastern Ukraine. The Dutch foreign minister said on a talk show the rescuers found one of the victims with an oxygen mask over his mouth. Now, this seems to dispute the theory none of the 298 people on board knew the missile was coming. The jet was shot down over eastern Ukraine back in July. And despite the desperate efforts of Kurdish fighters, ISIS militants have managed to wrest control of a third of Kobani. The town, also known as Ain al-Arab, has also been the scene of intense fighting and a string of airstrikes by the U.S.-led coalition against ISIS fighters in recent days. And a top Homeland Security official is responding to the suggestion that ISIS fighters have crossed the United States southern border into Texas. On CNN's Situation Room Wednesday, Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson said that it's simply speculation and rumor. However, California Representative Duncan Hunter claimed on Fox News that Border Patrol officers told him that 10 militants had crossed the Mexican border. And we're also keeping an eye on Twitter for you this morning. Let's take a look at the big wall here behind me. Bob Aaron, Eyewitness News reporter, is tweeting judge refuses to cut $2.5 million bond for alleged cop killer Mitchell Rubel in Ohio. And from the Wall Street Journal, Satyarthi on his Nobel win, Nobel Peace Prize winner is who he is. He says, quote, "I will devote my life to ending child slavery. I'm sure it will end in my lifetime," end quote. And from Time.com, hazmat crew boards plane after man falsely claims to have Ebola. That's what's trending on Twitter right now. We'll be right back with a look at traffic, but first, let's take a quick look at today's birthdays. Have a great morning, everyone. GMA is heading your way next on ABC.
An echo here.